Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome along for the very first time to Talk From The Tameside, the brand new talk show and podcast series that is covering all things Curzon Ashton and National League North football related this season. Is Ben Fitzpatrick here with you, the voice of Curzon Ashton commentary, guiding you through this very special first pre-season episode of the show. You'll be happy to know that it won't just be me in the future throughout the season, and these episodes will be being joined by various other members of the Curzon Ashton team. But for now, in this episode, it is just me, so you are stuck with listening to me for the first time this season. Today we're going to be talking all things fixture release. Obviously on Wednesday morning, the fixtures for the National League North campaign were released at 9 o'clock, and there are some real juicy ones in there. Let's get straight into the opening day offerings. The league kicking off on Saturday the 6th of August this year with 3 o'clock kickoffs all up and down the country. We're headed off there by AFC Fylde and Kettering Town, two teams that will certainly be vying for promotion at the top end of the National League North this season. Telford United, they start their new campaign at home against Chorley after narrowly avoiding relegation last season. Alfreton Town host Chester. Kidderminster Harriers, who were very much in the playoff hunt last season, they travel to Blythe Spartans for their first game. Boston United take on Southport. We see our first two promoted sides take off against each other in Brackley Town and Scarborough Athletic. Bradford Park Avenue, that struggled last season, they host Kings Lynn Town, who will be back in the National League North with a vengeance after having been relegated 2 seasons ago due to points per game after a COVID-shortened season. For Curzon Ashton, they take on Banbury United, a newly promoted side who managed to bring themselves up into the National League North after winning the Southern Premier League Central. That will be at the Tameside Stadium at 3 o'clock. Darlington, they host Gloucester City. Spennymoor travel to Hereford. Leamington go against Farsley Celtic, another team who were lurking towards the drop zone on the final day, or rather dramatic final day last season. And Peterborough Sports host Buxton. But of course, the all-important mates for the diary and the all-important ones are the Curzon Ashton fixtures. Of course, they're headed by the hosting of Banbury United on the 6th of August. Then we face another newly promoted side, Buxton, in our first road trip of the season. Buxton making their promotion through the Northern Premier League after winning that division. Then one of the first real tests for this new side headed up by Adam Lakeland, Kidderminster Harriers away on Tuesday the 16th of August, 7:45 kickoff for that one. Then we host Kettering Town on the 20th of August. The 27th sees us travel to Bradford and play Farsley Celtic, and then it's back home to the Tameside Stadium on the 29th of August to host Chester. Well, there's certainly a lot of fixtures in there to pick at and try and see where we might pick up some points and what the favourable matchups might be. But the one man whose opinion really matters most is that of Adam Lakeland. And I got the chance to sit down with him and speak to him on Wednesday night and get his reaction to the fixture releases and what he hopes for the upcoming season.
Well, Adam, I wanted to start off this interview with a quote that I actually read from you this morning that you reported in the non-league paper on Sunday that said, we don't want to be little old Curzon Ashton staving off relegation season upon season, because if you fly too close to the trapdoor, eventually you're going to go through it. I wanted to lead off and ask you, as this is your first full season with Curzon Ashton, and there having been so much change, yet also so much that stayed the same, how do you approach this brand new campaign?
Full of optimism, really. It's always very difficult for a manager coming into a football club, and certainly, part way through a season, and you inherit somebody else's players, and it takes you time to get used to them, know what you've got, know what you need, and naturally there's going to be some players who you as the manager just don't feel fit into your kind of philosophy, and equally there'll be players who might not have kind of fancied me so much as the manager, and that's just football. So, there was quite a lot of change, not just during the off season, but kind of, since I came back to Curzon, and the onus and focus really for me and my staff has been building, for this upcoming season. I'm under no illusion that, there'll be more expectation on me now. We've obviously made quite a lot of changes to the playing staff, and as everybody keeps on saying, it's my team now, it's my group now, and that'll obviously bring with it a little bit more kind of expectation and pressure, which is just part and parcel of being a manager, and it's something that I relish. But optimism is certainly something that I approach the new season with, because I feel that we've recruited incredibly well. I think we've brought some really good people and lads and obviously players into the football club this summer, and I think it'll feel like they complement the players who remained with us from the end of last season very well. So it's certainly a season that I'm looking forward to, and hopefully we can go and have a good campaign.
Fantastic, absolutely. Well, you can't have a good campaign without getting off to a good start. This time last season, Curzon Ashton got off to a fantastic opening stand, only losing 2 games in their first 10 outings in all competitions. I first have to ask you, have you had a look at the fixture list?
Of course, yeah. There was excitement this morning when the fixtures came out, because it always kind of makes the new season feel a little bit closer and that little bit more real. So it's always an exciting time when the new fixtures come out, and it just adds to kind of the anticipation for everybody, I guess, on the countdown to the new season kicking off.
I think I was refreshing, as I imagine many Nash fans as well, and think the National League North website actually just crashed for a good 10-15 minutes, which was a pleasant surprise, I think, for me, for the non-league football. But it's good to see there's still the passion in there. The first run of fixtures through August, I had to have a look. I had a look through, and I've got them on my screen now. You've got first game opening day at home to newly promoted Banbury, then a trip to Buxton, the 2 really tasty games back-to-back between Kidderminster and Kettering Town. This first August month, I think, really quite encapsulates the where the tone is going to be set for this squad, with the games that I think that many fans will look at and go, okay, that could be a nice 3 points, and then the games that'll be a really nice test. Do you have a tendency, or is there going to be a tendency, you think, to sort of look ahead at those games, say against the Kidderminster, that trip away to Kidderminster on Tuesday the 16th of August, or is it going to be, do you kind of need to get your players in now that the fixtures have gone through and sit them down and say, look, we need to ground ourselves here, we need to remember that it's one game at a time, it's a marathon and not a sprint?
Yeah, absolutely. The latter. I don't feel you can look too far ahead in football, and I certainly don't feel like anybody connected to any club should be looking at the fixture list and thinking that that's a nail on 3 points, because that's first and foremost disrespectful to the club that you feel you've got an entitlement to get 3 points from, and secondly, that's when complacency can set in, and if that happens, it's dangerous, because you can very quickly go on in a little bit of a lull and have a bad run. So it very much will be a case of one game at a time. Every single game is winnable. Of course, you're not going to do that, but every game is winnable, and that's how we approach every game. All the time is we go into each and every fixture looking to get 3 points, and I'm sure that all of our opponents will be exactly the same. So we'll stay grounded. Ultimately it'll be about us applying ourselves properly in each and every game, going into every game with a clear game plan on how we feel we can get a positive result. And I think in terms of the players, I feel we've got a very humble and grounded group of players going into this season. We've got an abundance of experience and players who've had a lot of success and promotions and title wins in the group this year. And these lads know what it takes to perform with a level of consistency. Saturday, Tuesday, home, away, playing on good pitches, bad pitches, playing ball-based teams, direct physical teams, and I feel that kind of as a group we won't kind of get carried away. There's going to be times in the season where we're maybe having a little bit of an indifferent run, but there'll also be times in the season where we're having good runs, and it's important that you don't get too carried away when you're having your good moments, but equally you don't get too despondent when you're having the rocky ones. And every team in the division is going to be capable of beating one another, and probably the biggest thing that I want to see an improvement from us as a team this season is consistency in terms of performances individually and collectively, because I feel that if we can achieve that, then we've got a much better chance of getting consistent results, and ultimately that's what the best teams in divisions do.
Mm. Oh, great! It's great to hear that you're talking about this thread of consistency, and it's really refreshing to hear that even with all of the change that has gone on in and around the club, that is still the core tenet and the core thread that we've got to be able to replicate those performances 90 minutes week in, week out. That consistency, of course, obviously can go further and replicate into the cup competitions, obviously the FA Cup, Trophy and Vase. What is going to be your philosophy and approach as you enter into these competitions sort of in the later stages, obviously with being a National League North side? Is that going to be, okay, we'll wait and see when the draw comes again, and sort of, as you said earlier, stay in that grounded mindset?
Well, we want to go as deep as we can in every competition. Obviously, Curzon have had a couple of tremendous runs in recent years in certainly in the FA Trophy, the FA Cup, and that's something that we as a group, it's a challenge for us to try and emulate something like that. Now it's not achievable for every club every year, but if you get a little bit of luck with the draws and you put in good performances, then you've got a chance of progressing far in both the FA Cup, the Trophy, and also the local county cup as well. I've come to Curzon Ashton to try and be successful and try and write a piece of history, and we want to try and emulate what other teams in the past have done. And as I say, we set out to win every game and try and go as far as we can and be as competitive as we can in every competition, and the cup games will certainly be no different to that.
Of course, that deep cup run you're referring to, the fantastic performance, although a losing performance in the 2016 cup run, was definitely bringing noise to the Tameside Stadium. Is hopefully some atmosphere that we'll be able to see this season again. I wanted to wrap up this interview quite succinctly, honestly, with kind of everything that you've said throughout the interview. They've recruited well, recruited hard and recruited early. There's still some really key core players that are returning and are going to come back for this season. We saw some glimpses of what this club could do last season under your management and leadership. Do you think that players like Benito Lowe, Hancock, Hampson, Walker, I could go on and on and on, do you think that with those extra reinforcements, that is going to be the difference maker and is really what's going to help you guys push on throughout this campaign?
Well, I certainly hope so. Yeah, because obviously that's why I've brought those players into the club to add to the players who we retained. I've been incredibly fortunate. In my time as first team coach and a manager, where I've worked with teams, that have had success, and I'm ambitious. I have expectations of myself and my staff and my players, and I expect us to be competitive and to be trying to win every game. As I said earlier, I know that's not possible, and people may feel that I'm setting myself up to fail there, but I have confidence in myself and in my staff, and I have confidence in the group of players I've put together. I feel like we've got a much more rounded group this season in terms of experience, youth, hunger, players who know what it takes to play 30, 40 games a season, and put back-to-back performances in, against different types of opponents. I feel like we've got better balance in the team. We've got wide players now in the team who are reliable and who will be disciplined with and without the ball. We've got some pace in the team. We've got some physicality in the team. We've got some goals in the team. So I feel like we've recruited well. As you say, we've recruited early, which is something that I've always liked to do. I like to try and get the bulk of, if not all of, the recruitment done prior to the players coming back in pre-season, because it gives us then a full kind of 6 weeks to get fit, get organised, build them relationships on the pitch, and develop the team spirit within the group. And I have to say, we've been back in pre-season now for around about 10 days, but the atmosphere, the attitude, the application, you can already see an increased level of focus and discipline and humbleness to this group, and it fills me kind of with excitement, really, going into this season, because we are a small club at this level when you look at us in comparison to a number of the other clubs, but the facilities and the resources and the way that we get treated at Curzon Ashton is unbelievable, to be honest. We're so privileged to be working at such a good well-run club, and I obviously, having been here before and knowing that, and obviously coming back, I'm thoroughly determined to kind of repay the club's faith in me as the manager, by giving everybody a successful season and putting together a team that we can all be proud of, and I'm confident that we've managed to do that. Obviously now collectively we've got to perform, which I'm confident that we will, and hopefully we can go on and have a good season that everybody will enjoy. I think probably the last thing I would like to say before I start babbling on is just a message to the supporters, really. We're not big in number, but we have got big hearts, and the people who follow Curzon Ashton are incredibly passionate about their club, and we want to bring them a brand of football that excites them, but also that gets them results to be proud of, and we will be fielding a team week in, week out that will absolutely give it their all for the club at all times, and it would be fantastic if we could have the kind of atmosphere and numbers and voice that we experienced in our final home game last season against Kettering. It'd be fantastic if we could replicate that on a more regular basis in the home games, because that extra little bit of noise, the extra numbers and bodies around the ground, it certainly does transmit onto the pitch, and it makes a hell of a difference to the players on it. So, we'll be giving our all for the people in the stand this season, and all I ask is, that they do everything they possibly can to get themselves to the Tameside Stadium for our home fixtures, and get behind the lads and give them the support.
Very well said. And the first opportunity that Curzon fans will be able to do that will be Saturday, the 6th of August, where Curzon Ashton take on Banbury United live at the Tameside Stadium. Kickoff at 3 o'clock. Adam, it is a pleasure as always talking to you. Good luck with the rest of pre-season, and I will see you on the 6th of August.
Cheers, Ben. Thanks.
No worries. Thank you.
Yeah, there's some great words there by Adam as well. It was a great chance to speak to him. First time I got to speak to him since the end of the season, which I think a lot of Nash fans can relate and can understand the slight disappointment I think that everybody felt around the end of the season. But I think what was kind of important to remember, and is something that I think we need to remember as we start into the 22-23 campaign, is that back end of last season was almost a semi-rebuild, and it was preparing. We were getting ready, as Adam said in that interview there, was getting ready for this season. So many brand new players and returning faces as well that have come to join the season for this campaign, and as Adam urged there, your support is absolutely vital. So the 6th of August at 3 o'clock kickoff, if you're able to get yourself down to Tameside Stadium to see Curzon Ashton host Banbury United. Now it's time to see what you think. We took to Twitter on the official Curzon Ashton Twitter at Curzon Ashton, and we asked 1 month to go until the new season, which game are you looking forward to the most? Jim Newell was the first one to come on with a response, one of the vice chairman of Curzon Ashton, of course, and he said the first game, looking forward to that visit from Banbury United. It'll be a good way to see how the side set up for the first time. Of course, they did win in their first pre-season friendly 3-0 against New Mills Central, which the highlights of which are up available on this YouTube channel here as well to go and have a look at. David Buckley then chimes in and says that Buxton away at the second game should be interesting. Yeah, it's always interesting to see how the newly promoted sides fare in their new division, and as well, especially having them back-to-back. Both of these sides are no slouches to winning in their respective former divisions, both coming in as champions of their former divisions. So it'll be really interesting to see how they are going to adjust. Buxton playing on home soil as well is going to be very, very interesting. Then some of our own media team members, Ethan Ball, the man who was famous for leaving his coat in the car back at Curzon after it was travelling to a very, very cold York City. He said Telford, but only really for the Pies. We won't mention the fact that we will be the first real time to reunite with Harry Flowers since he departed midway through last season. And then Toby and Reese both chiming in and both in agreements with that game against Chester being very, very important. And the 29th of August, the closest thing that Curzon Ashton ever really have to a derby. I'm going to put a couple of games in for myself for ones to watch. Of course, the first one that comes to mind has got to be that first trip to Kidderminster on the 16th of August. A night game, midweek, against a team that you really have a feeling are going to be challenging for the title this season, with the absence of teams like York and Gateshead who were promoted up. Then I'm really interested to see what Curzon Ashton are going to do away against Southport. That month of January is very, very stacked. You've got Southport away on New Year's Day. Buxton will be coming to the Tameside on the 7th of January. It's depending on how the game goes in the second game week. Then it's a visit to Chester on the 14th, the 21st visiting Kettering Town, and then the 28th playing host to Adam's former team, Farsley Celtic. Of course, those dates are subject to change, depending on the scheduling and such. We might see one or two of those games shift to the midweek. And of course, it was mentioned in the interview as well, the FA competitions. I'm really, really excited and really looking forward to seeing how Adam sets his side up and approaches those cup competitions. It'll be really, really great to possibly get a deep run in that competition. And realistically, even with the stuff like the FA Cup, if you can get to the first round proper or the second round proper, you are still coming up against some real heavy hitters in the Football League pyramid. And maybe, just maybe, this is the side to cause an upset. But there's only one way that you can find out, and there's only one way you can keep up to date with that, and that is subscribing right here to the Nash TV, following Curzon Ashton on Twitter at Curzon Ashton. You can also find me at Ben Fitz Live on Twitter and on Twitch. We're twitch.tv/Ben Fitz Live, where every single Curzon Ashton game across the Varnarama National League and all 3 FA Cup competitions and the County Cup will all be broadcast live and in full. That's going to do it then for this first episode of Talk From The Tameside. I hope that you have enjoyed. If you have as well, leave us some comments down below and see what would you guys like to see from this series. We will definitely be getting the opportunity, and we'll be bringing in some of the players, coaching staff and chairman in for a little bit of a chat throughout the season, and we will undoubtedly be having a lot of fun with this season. It feels like there's something really, really good brewing in the air here, and it is now up for us to support that. So make sure to come on down to the Tameside Stadium, tune in to the coverage live on Twitch at 2:45 or as advertised on Twitter, and get around every single member of this brand new Curzon Ashton squad, because it really feels like this is a brand new squad, and we will be asking, where were you on this day? That's going to do it then from me. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you after the first game of the regular season for the next episode of Talk From The Tameside. Reminder, Saturday the 6th of August at 3 o'clock kickoff, Tameside Stadium, playing host to newly promoted Banbury United. We will be live for the first time in that game at 2:45. But until then, goodbye.